Hi, Charles. It's so good to see you again. Thank you for coming back. And I'd like to start just to, see how the past week was and how you are doing.
The past week has been busy. A lot going on. A little bit overwhelmed.
Okay.
So I've been doing my best to just be okay with it.
Ah, okay. Just out of curiosity, is that like a phrase you sort of, oftentimes when I say like what goes through your mind, like is that truly like what it sounds like in your mind? You feel overwhelmed, then you say to yourself like I'm just going to be okay with it,
Um,
or is there like another
Sometimes.
language? Okay,
I don't have a set statement.
right.
Sometimes it's not as cut and dry
Okay.
or positive.
Okay.
But I think yesterday I used the phrase that I'm a little concerned about it at the moment, but I think it'll work out.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Right. And is that helpful most of the time?
It doesn't solve the problem,
Right.
but it, at least in the moment, it makes me think about different things.
Okay.
Like last night, I had a bunch of stuff to do, and I was able to take my mind off some stuff and get a lot of other stuff done.
Okay.
That's helpful.
Okay. Great. And again, thank you for sort of sharing some of this with me because it helps me, just get to know you better and gain a greater understanding and, hopefully it will improve our work together. And what about, here I am sitting sort of in this chair as a consultant and we sort of tend to like drift towards the not so good things. Things that went well this week.
Got to see some good friends over the weekend, which was very nice.
Okay.
I have been setting up a new work thing, which is I'm very excited about. So that's been a positive, just a positive occurrence. Even though that's part of what's stressing me out, I am making like the idea of building what's happening.
Okay.
And yeah, I'd say those are the two. And my birthday's my significant other had a birthday last week, and I have one this week, so that's nice.
Oh, very nice. Happy birthday to you both. You're welcome. Turning what, 19, right?
Right.
Of course. Last week we talked a little bit about mindfulness. We just really scratched the surface, and today I'd like to get a little bit more into it. And I apologize, I have a little bit of a cold, so I'm sorry if I sound a little nasally. Were you able to practice or think more about mindfulness? And, when I think about mindfulness, it's this sort of very simple concept, right? Being present, being in the moment without judgment. But as far as practicing and, bringing it into our daily lives, it can often be confusing, or what does that even look like? I don't know how to do that. So back to my original question, just wondering, did you think a little bit more of mindfulness? Any practice in the past week?
Not at all in terms of golf.
Okay.
I shouldn't say that. Not. I've more deliberately been attempting it outside of golf,
Ah,
since it seems to be more integrated into golf.
okay.
But yeah, I've been working the past week, especially just given feeling like I don't have time to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be mindful of just that's how I feel, and as long as I keep doing stuff in the moment, that if I keep that state of mind consistently, I can at least be with my thoughts and be present and get stuff done.
So it sounds like, just so I'm making sure I'm understanding, and we all do it, right? We think of like the 18 things that we have coming up this week. So it sounds like for you, one of the mindfulness strategies was just to bring yourself back to like, what do I have to do right now in this moment?
And just pick one.
And just pick one. Okay,
Yeah.
got it. And we'll get a little bit obviously into the sport, but we can see how that would be probably very helpful for golf too. Like rather than the 18 holes, you're thinking about just what you have to do in this moment.
Yes.
Okay. All right, great. So again, we're going to build on that a little bit today. Okay, so 2 sessions ago, you shared with me your peak performance, and it was just again great to hear, and I've thought about that several times even since we have met. Just again thinking about the excitement in your voice and your facial expressions when you were discussing your peak performance, and we did touch on this last time, but I was wondering if we could just revisit when again go back to that peak performance and you remember what you talked about. Do you remember like the emotions you felt, like your emotional state, like what was sort of going on emotionally for you?
I was excited.
Excited. Okay. I'm gonna write this. Okay. Other feelings.
Yeah, excited was a pretty main emotion.
Okay.
Or feeling.
Okay. Great. And it's interesting. We want to kind of remember that feeling because I've worked with other athletes, and you hear, when they talk about their peak performance, they might say, I felt calm, or I felt completely at ease, or I felt sort of angry, right? So, each athlete is different, and for you, sort of the emotional state that worked was excited. Can you even like expand on that? Like excited, what did that feel like in your body?
That day it felt. I think I remember mentioning that I didn't really feel comfortable. It just kind of felt like whatever I did was working.
Okay, yeah.
So it actually felt a little bit out of control.
Ah.
It just, for whatever reason, seemed like that I was able to match that with my golf swing, and so I was able to make it work. Now there are plenty of times where that doesn't happen. So yeah, that was more of just a kind of that was a very kind of like, the hole felt bigger, the course felt bigger, sure, but I also didn't feel super calm through it. I had a kind of a heightened state.
Heightened state. Okay, that's wonderful. Would you say, Charles, that getting kind of back to that state or getting back to that emotion would be helpful in order to continue to reach like peak performances? That's sort of the zone that would be most helpful for you?
I think aspects of that.
Okay.
But I do remember in that particular round when excitedness kind of turned to looking ahead in the round and kind of, getting out of the moment. And so it was helpful at the beginning, but as time went on, it wasn't.
Okay, that's great, and I really want to highlight that because right there is a chance to really examine mindfulness, right? Of being aware of when that shift happens, right? Because you could think back and say, oh my gosh, 10 minutes ago I noticed that I was looking too much ahead, or, getting sort of too out of control or too excited. And through mindfulness, if we could pick sort of that up sooner than later, then potentially we can do something about it, right? We can examine it. We can look to see if we can get back to that state that really helps with your peak performance. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. So we're gonna again look at the words excited, heightened state, kind of feeling out of control, but like in this good way. When I think about, we're going to talk a little bit about anxiety today. And, interestingly, last week we talked about, or 2 weeks ago, we talked about motivation. And at times just feeling like kind of blah, not wanting to do things, not wanting to sort of engage, to the best of your ability in your sport. And we talked about how that can affect performance, right? Like there's not enough kind of oomph, there's not enough energy, there's not enough drive to get what you want done. And, there are times when I think, and again, back to 2 weeks ago, where we sort of talked about how to psych yourself up, right? Like, how do we psych yourself up to kind of get through that round of golf and get through it well and really go back and enjoy what you're doing? Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about sort of if we're psyching ourselves out, right? It's almost like too much energy, too much maybe excitement, too much arousal. And I'll probably use that word a few times in this session. And we sort of want to find that balance, right? And at times that can be difficult. So again, we want to have enough energy, enough oomph, enough excitement, but not too much, right? Because then again, that can also affect our performance. And if you see on that handout, I kind of made this
Yeah.
graph. I don't know if you've seen that before, but what we really want to
Looks
do
like a bell curve.
exactly, it looks like a bell curve for the psychology majors in us, right? And you know, I really like this graph, and I use this often for myself and with athletes of saying like, all right, we want to reach sort of that top, right, that peak, and it's going to be different for every athlete, right? So it's not like, oh, I need to do everyone needs to do A, B, C, and D in order to reach that peak, or you know, E, F, G in order to kind of back it up. So we really want to use this session, Charles, and figure out how do we get you to sort of that apex, that top. And, you know, we help to kind of figure that out a bit by assessing your peak performance, right? So, any questions about that so far?
No.
Okay. So, I'm wondering if we can now think about a time in your sport when you were feeling nervous, anxious, worried. Again, when you think of it like almost too much arousal, too much activation, and it affected your performance.